All right.
Just kidding. It's starting.
So I'm going to call this meeting to order. First, the pledge and mindfulness moment. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And can you turn on your
Video,
Yep. All right. So can I?
please.
Why isn't the owl working?
It's working now.
There we go. I love that sound. Anyway. I'm sorry. All right. So we'll do a mindfulness moment. All right. Moving on to additions or deletions to the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions? Okay. Motion to approve the agenda as presented. Moved by Ian, seconded by Alice. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Just want to remind people that we do have, as we get into the public comment section, we do have a 2-minute for public comments. Garrett does watch the time and will cue you in when your 2 minutes are up. We're getting close. I do want to give folks a heads up. Joanne's here. If it's an easy question, she'll be able to answer it. If it's more difficult or challenging, she'll have to email you or put it into the packet for next time. With that, let's go around and introduce ourselves so that everyone is aware of who's here. We'll start with Garrett.
I'm Garrett Grant.
I'm Jackie Wheeler. Emily Wheeler Reynolds.
Giuliano Ceccanelli.
Michael Boutin.
Joanne Canning.
Alice Farrell.
Ian Campbell. Jeff Eddy.
Catherine Wheeler.
And if I can, Shannon, can I have you start with your name and your title?
Sure. Shannon Miller. I'm the co-principal of Berrytown. Or person, co-principal Berrytown. Melissa Greenwood, assistant principal, Berry City. Jen Benson, assistant principal, Berry City. Brenda Waterhouse, principal, Berry City Elementary Middle School.
Denise Maurice, principal of Spalding High School.
Lisa Pearl, assistant manager.
Mike Martin, Director of Technology.
Amanda Rickman, director of curriculum and assessment.
All right. Thank you very much. Moving on to public comment. This is for comments that are regarding items that are not on the agenda. Is there someone here that would like to address it? No? All right. Moving on to the board presentation, FY27 budget presentations. And this will be where I pass it off to you.
Thank you so much. There's someone who needs to turn their camera or their audio off. It's not quite sure how that happened. Thank you. So this is a special meeting of the board. It is the beginning of our budget season, and I want to first welcome my administrative team. They've done a fabulous job with the slides that they would like to speak to you about. I've asked them to focus on what are the goals of the school that we're working on right now, give a little bit of background around the demographics, the type of students that we're teaching, and then they're going to end with some ideas they might have for making improvements. Now, at the last meeting, the board did provide us with some guidance. And what the board asked us to do is to present to you a level program budget. And so when the administrators make their recommendations, they understand that budget development is going to be a conversation over the next couple of months. But it is important for you to know what's on their minds and what they think is important as we go forward. So I'd like to first start by having Brenda in Berry City present the Berry City slides for you. And Lisa is going to take care of that. So if you join us, Brenda, And hopefully the board will be able to see the screen from here. Please, Melissa and Jen, join her.
So first I want to point out that my first slide shows Barry the Bulldog. Last year we had a contest for students to submit nominations for Barry's name because we had this mascot, but we didn't have an identity. So Barry was the winner, and he's standing under our sign with kind, safe, and responsible, which is really our mantra throughout everything that we do. So in the next slide, I'll start talking. Well, it's coming. I have some student data on here that shows our enrollment. As folks are well aware, Berry City has had a declining enrollment in the last 2 years, really impacted by the 2 recent floods. So it has had a pretty significant impact on our decrease in enrollments. So we are sitting at around 680 students. We have about 30% of our students on IEPs, and about 10% fill out with 504s and ESTs. One of our goals with our work we're doing with our professional development, all of our instructional practices, is really focusing on that tier 1 and tier 2 elements of instruction, and hoping to bring the number of students on IEPs, that number down, so that they're getting that first instruction and not needing that tier 3 level of support. We have some initial data from this year. We had our first cycle of intervention, and you can see that we had 107 students on ELA plans, and after a 5-week cycle, we had 79 meet those goals. So we're showing that we're making some significant gains right there. And same with math, we had 119, and 102 of them met their goals just after 1 cycle. So each cycle, we focus on those big boulder concepts that they need in math and ELA. So for our second cycle, which we've just begun, we have 198 students identified working on those really critical instructional skills and concepts. So we're hoping to see similar, if not even better, gains in that second round. You'll see that our MBA numbers, it's less than it has been in the last couple of years, again, due to a lot of external factors, but we still have 31 students listed as MBA, which are our students with Homeland Security, and we have 11 students right now with MFL. I thought it would be important to highlight some teacher and administrator data, because we're putting so much emphasis on the professional development and the skills of our people. It's really critical to understand that people going into education typically leave within the first 7 years of teaching. And if you can get them past that first hurdle of 7 years, that's like a big milestone. And so if you look at the Berry City numbers, we actually have an average of 10.3 years of service at Berry City. That's not an education entirely, that's just at Berry City. And we have the staff member with the greatest number of years of service is 31 years. So some pretty significant numbers there. And we have, about 44% of our staff have been there for 10 or more years. So it's truly an investment to be putting all of this work into our professional development to hold on to our teachers and retain them. But because of that longevity, we'll have that consistency too. And then looking at the 3 administrators sitting here, we have a sum of 78 years of experience in education and 54 dedicated to the BUUSD district.
Okay, next slide. Our guiding coalition, we had some extended professional development this summer, specifically around professional learning communities. And we decided to call our group of individuals our guiding coalition. So you can see on the right side of the screen, those are our guiding coalition team leads and their position and their years at Berry City. We have a variety of newer staff members and also seasoned staff members. On the left is our mission statement, which we have not changed in the past few years. And it's about giving our children a challenging educational environment that encourages high performance in a nurturing atmosphere characterized by dignity and respect. And we focus on kind, safe, and responsible citizenship by all. With our guiding coalition, we have created 3 goals: a short-term, a long-term, and an attendance or SEL goal. So our short-term goal is to increase our students' academic growth this year by at least 2% by the end of the year. We're going to use our STAR 360 data. We take that in the fall and the spring. Our long-term goal is to increase our academic growth by 10% over the next 5 years, so roughly 2% a year, using the STAR 360 data as well as other standardized assessments like VTCAP and our other growth assessments. Our attendance and SEL goal is to reduce the number of students with 20 to 50 absences by 15% by the end of the year. And we're going to track that using formats like IC and other data that we can contribute.
All right, and this slide is mine, probably the easiest, how we focus on student learning, which is our entire role. So a real focus on attendance. We need kids to come to school, feel like they belong and want to be there. So a big focus on attendance. A lot of teams, subbed off of our guiding coalition are focusing there. Our curriculum development work with Amanda Riggleman and our staff on PD days. Our math group is working really hard on brain-based math instruction and building those guiding principles for what students need to learn and be able to do the mathematics to move forward. In ELA, we have had a strong focus on letters curriculum, which has been awesome. And even us administrators have been involved in that. And science is working to build that curriculum from pre-K all the way to 8th grade in our building, which has been really nice to see. Of course, Brenda mentioned Tier 1 and Tier 2 instruction, which is taking up a lot of our PD time. So important to try to get our kids to learn and be able to do in our school. And our team meetings are focused on planning and that curriculum work and also looking at student data. We are spending resources on ECO, educating children outdoors. So a lot of our teachers have been trained there. Destination Imagination was an amazing event that we started last year, and it's only grown and welcomed Berry Town students this year at our math night, and that was awesome. And they actually did the state competition last year at Berry City School, which was amazing. One of our Berry City teams won and was given an opportunity to potentially go to nationals, which we weren't quite ready for, but it was amazing. So that's really cool. In reading, we started last year a drop everything and read. So we just stop everything in the school day and everybody gets out a book and reads for 10 minutes, just bringing back that love for reading that we've seen sort of go away over time. So bringing that back, and even us as administrators did it, all the teachers too. It was a really cool experience. So continuing with that. Everybody Wins. We just got information last week that we have a brand new coordinator. So that's very exciting. For years, we had Everybody Wins, a mentor program that would come in and have lunch with our students. And for a couple of years, we haven't had a coordinator. But now we got information last week that they're coming soon. So that's exciting. We're adding a reading club to our after-school activities that we offer. So with the drama club and art club, we have a music club, a D&D club, a Magic the Gathering club, and we're adding an after-school reading club. And kids are very excited about that. Versus Writing has been coming back with a little bit of a vengeance in 3rd and 4th grade, which is really exciting. And they've worked on the research about how cursive writing helps students understand the parts of a word and a sentence and how those build together. So that's great. And we are working with a group of teachers right now on our MTSS So our systems of support around social, emotional learning and behavior, which has been a huge focus for a lot of us, working with Judy and our MTSS coordinator in the state on what that looks like and how to bring some of those practices back to build culture and belonging in Berry City.
So is this the last slide?
Yeah.
So I would like to,
One more.
okay, go ahead. Budgetary considerations.
And so leading right off with, following that MTSS SELD, we have developmental design. So developmental design is something that the district had offered in the past. And it has been, I believe, since 2016, 17, since we've had the professional development, and we have had a turnover in staff. So we have some folks that have tried to maintain the practice, but because of the turnover, we really would like to bring developmental design back, and it's heavily focused on that social, emotional, and multi-tiered systems of support. And I believe you'll hear from Berrytown about also wanting that request in there. So it's just to really help to focus and stabilize some of that culture and climate and feeling involved and engaged, and really create critical components. And so there is a budgetary impact obviously on that one. The other two do not have budgetary impacts, but they do shift things. So our student support for special, we have an alternative program within Berry City. And so it's our CARES Extended Learning Center. And right now that has been a general ed funded component of our budget, but the students being supported in that program are all special ed students. So it actually makes more sense to shift the expenditures from under one budget line into another budget line, because that's where it will be more reflective of meeting the students' needs and what those expenses are that are related. And then the other one is we have 2 FTE positions that will be shifted through attrition in our current staffing configuration and pulling back 2 folks out of grants. So it'll be an end result of nothing in the budget lines, but it will be better securing those folks that were in grants. That's really an unstable situation, and putting them into the budget through our attrition.
So thank you, Brenda and Jen and Melissa. And if the board can hold your questions till the end, I'd like all of the principals to be able to present. So thank you. And next up is Berrytown.
Everyone, good evening. We will kind of follow the same format, although we did things a little bit differently, as always. You'll see that our student demographics, we're sitting at just over 800, which is about, we've had a little bit of a decline the last year, about 40 students, but that is an extremely flexible number is what we will call it, because we see kids come in and kids go, frankly, quite often. So that has, as we've been relatively steady, we do have 2 small classes that are cycling through our school right now. Our average class size by grade sits in between 75 and 80. We do have 2 that are just sitting around 60. So that does move our number down a little bit, but the incoming classes look to be generally the same, around that 75 or 80 mark. We have a total of 56 classrooms. We have 39 students currently on educational support plans, 28 students on 504s. That could be either medical or an educational 504 plan. 197 of our students, which is 25% of our student population, are served by IEPs. And we're sitting at a 44% living at or below the poverty line. We currently have 3 students who are multi-language learners, and we currently have 8 students that are identified as under the McKinney-Pinchot Homeless Act.
We also are working with Solution Tree this year, establishing a guiding coalition. We actually have 2. We have an elementary guiding coalition and a middle school guiding coalition to allow us to be a little bit better focused on our content areas. Also in the elementary school, you're more likely to have grade level teams, whereas in the middle school, it can make sense to work with people who teach the same thing you do. And then we have one team that covers the whole school, which is our allied arts team. So they work together as well. The overarching mission of our guiding coalition is to equip each student with the skills to engage and grow at high levels academically, socially, emotionally, and physically. This year we set some really big goals. We have a goal of 60% academic proficiency in literacy and mathematics across grade levels. The elementary is focusing on the goal of reaching this in January. We're really excited and we think it's just the biggest priority that we have. This is the topic at every one of our CT meetings. Everybody is really focused on academic support for kids. It's really important to us. At the middle school, they're really focusing on embedding literacy strategies into all subject areas, and then overall fostering a positive school climate. So decreasing the number of behavior referrals by 15% through proactive classroom management strategies, positive behavior supports, and character education.
And just to kind of jump onto the embedded literacy strategies at the middle level, currently you heard our colleagues talking about letters, and that we are also able, thank you Joanne and Amanda for making sure that our administrators are also getting our own professional development there. It actually encompasses our social studies teachers as well. They're taking the same professional development as our ELA teachers to ensure that we are giving all of those strategies for literacy and connecting it back to every single subject area so that kids are always reading and they're always gaining that vocabulary, science vocabulary, mathematics vocabulary, and all of those places, and just really highlighting the importance of that and how that plays out to their success academically overall.
Moving into instructional leadership. So for school context, we are a pre-K through 8 building, again with 802 students. Currently we're staffed with Erica and I as principals and Ted Mills as the assistant principal. Ted works in between both of our levels. As you can imagine, it's impossible to split him evenly. So it's hard to know when will he be available, which things can he help with. For this reason, we are requesting an additional assistant principal in this budget round, and I'll talk about how that would really impact us in a positive way in just a moment. So in each of our grade bands, everybody pre-K through 2, 3 through 5, 6 through 8, we've talked a little bit about these different professional development opportunities that we have going on. They're all amazing. They all have a lot of information in them. And it's more than just go to the workshop and walk away and do it, right? It's constant feedback, it's observations, it's working together. It takes leaders to be able to supervise that kind of work, right? So we do have to have the capacity of people to be able to be in classrooms consistently, be modeling for teachers, all of that. So that is really my big hope in adding an AP, is that we'll have another person on board who potentially could help with that, has strengths in other areas like behavior management and MTSS systems, so that we have a little bit more people to go around and do this work. Our current admin team's capacity limits frequent classroom observations, feedback cycles. We try to attend all of our PLC meetings if we can. That can get a little tricky if other things are going on in the building, as you can imagine. So this additional AP would strengthen our curriculum alignment to make sure that we're really using the professional development that we're investing in, and also making sure that we are being consistent across grades with all students accessing the same instruction from their teachers. In terms of behavioral and climate needs, we have had a significant increase in the past years in behavioral incidents. And also in student supports needed across buildings. And that's not, when we say behavior, we don't just mean behavior choices. We have many students who need ongoing support in our buildings. One assistant principal really cannot manage both discipline response and proactive skill building initiatives, which we're trying to put most of our investment into giving kids the skills that they need to be successful in school. One additional AP would allow for more timely interventions, restorative practices, and more family engagement to support a positive learning environment for all of our kids. We also added on just improved instructional quality through those regular coaching and feedback cycles, increased student safety and engagement through proactive behavior support instead of just reactive, greater staff satisfaction and reduced burnout among teachers and administrators. Teachers in particular really need support sometimes, and with a pretty minimal admin team, it can be a weight to get it, and enhance school-wide systems for academics and literature.
Our investment in collaborative learning teams. You heard us talk about our guiding coalition. We have been really lucky to partner with Solution Tree. And all of us have our own coaches to work with those guiding coalitions, which is just a really lovely thing for our lead learners, as what we call the folks that lead our CLTs or /PLCs is more, I guess, of a common phrase that people use. It really is, we're trying to build those skills for increased student performance and all have the same goal moving forward so that we all know what we are trying to push forward for all of our students, trying to reach that 60% proficiency piece. And as a start, right, we're going to aim for that 100%, but that's just our jumping off point. I'll let you talk a little bit about character counts and then I'll
Sure.
do developmental design.
So the elementary school uses a PBIS framework and has done so for some time, but we were lacking tier 1 instruction in that area. So we had a lot of the fun things, the tickets, the celebrations, but we didn't have the piece letting kids know what was really expected beyond the BTS way. So this year we're using a character education program called Character Counts. It has 6 pillars, things like responsibility, respect, caring, trustworthiness. Kids are introduced to each concept through a school-wide assembly, which is pretty exciting, involves student leaders being involved in planning and running it. And then they are they receive more instruction and practice in their morning meetings. They hear about a lot of role plays or like, what would you do in this situation? And then teachers or other staff in the building recognize students for each thing we're focusing on. So some people may have seen little keychains with responsibility stars on them. The kids can earn those and they wear them on their backpacks to show that they're recognized for that.
And you heard Brenda open the door about developmental design. That's a framework that we've used at Berrytown for 12 years, I believe, maybe even 14 if I really go back. It is a framework that focuses on creating a teacher advisory system for our students, and it also creates expectations that are created in a way that they can be applied across all settings. It's really important for kids to know that no matter where they are, there are certain routines and expectations that they can count on. Developmental design really does try to create a community inside a classroom through the teacher advisory. There is a really clear way to start a day and how we greet kids, how we give them their message in the morning, how we share information, how we have a little bit of fun, and how we get to know each kid individually so that they have an adult in the building that they can depend on. And that is our ultimate goal through developmental design. We have had some turnover in staff. We often use our workshop and conference line to send new teachers in the summer, but when an entire staff is together and can train in that way, we model things, we act out how kids might interpret things, and that gives us better footing to really create that community and to really help kids feel like they belong and want to be at school, which also helps our attendance and helps us get to that literacy goal that we have, because they can't learn if they're not there.
So Shannon and Erica, thank you. And
Thank you.
Next up is Denise from Spalding High School.
I think I should have brought my team with me. Oh, thank you. Thank you for having us here tonight. I'm excited to share some of my hopes and dreams for Spalding. This is my second year there, and I've been able to see, where some of our greatest successes are and where we have places to grow. So our overall mission is to increase the engagement and learning of all Spalding students so that they can pursue their dreams. Berry has a foundation of small businesses, a mixture of skills and entrepreneurs and skilled workers. And we want to make sure that no matter where our kids' dreams take them, that they have the skills to get there. So to do that, we're trying to increase our connections with kids, building stronger relationships, which is why we have our Freshman Academy this year, and we're developing our advisory structures even further. We're also strengthening our communication with members with our newsletter, our parent advisory group, more attendance outreach, and our new grading, our reporting structure. to help increase so that the communication with parents, so they understand where their students are succeeding and where they need help. Also increasing our intervention structures with our MTSS support team and the change that we made this year to increase study hall time and access to teachers for kids so that they would have a place where teachers could call back students to their classroom and make those connections necessary. And of course, continuing to adapt our instructional strategies using that PLC model through the solution tree. That guidance is something that is important to our guiding coalition. Demographics, we are a reflection of the two K-8 schools coming into us with between 25 and 30% of our students on IEPs. And we have a great track record of having kids attend early college and the technical center and taking dual enrollment in AP classes at Spalding. We are one of the high schools with the greatest number of students attending, early college, which is both a strength and, a challenge to our community here. But it's wonderful to see so many kids be able to take that jump start. Our priorities for the coming years include making sure our grant funded positions, including our instructional coach, who works very closely with our new teachers and is able to share observations with all teachers, is moved into our local budget. Continuing our work with Solution Tree for the Guiding Coalition, and then revitalizing our Phoenix program. The Phoenix program used to be an off-site program and was brought back to the building from what I've been able to guess, about 10-ish years ago, give or take. And that program is meant to be a flexible pathway for kids to stay in school, earn their high school diploma, and stay within the Spalding community. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And of course, also trying to increase our offerings for seniors and others within our community. So what data are we looking at? We are looking very closely at our chronic attendance, chronic absenteeism data, as well as our full graduation rate, in addition to our VTCAP scores. This one that I want to focus most closely on tonight is our 4-year graduation rate, which is at 74%. Prior to around 2017 or so, it was in the 84-ish% range, and for a while, and had been there for quite a while. And then after that, dropped off into the 70s. Taking a look at what's causing that, finding out ways to keep those kids involved in the community and continuing to be involved in earning their diploma is really a critical focus for us. These are our future Barrie voters, our Barrie citizens, our workers, our business owners, and we want them to have the biggest possibility of success possible. So increasing that graduation rate and giving everyone the skills they need is top priority. So how to keep the struggling kids in school. One of the tactics for that, of course, is to continue to build relationships within our advisory model. But also a lot of these kids are students with other commitments outside of school. Many of them work. Many of them have younger siblings that they're helping to raise. Some are just, the traditional school day doesn't fit who they are as a learner. And the Phoenix program offers, in a limited way right now, a way where they can access the school building in a different way. They can be in a smaller environment. They can, a lot of the classes that are through there now are almost independent. They're independently guided by the teachers who are there. Some of them are credit recovery, so they haven't been successful in, let's say, their U.S. history class. We have one student going through U.S. history through the Phoenix program, where they're able to recover the proficiencies along the way. it better meets that student's needs. In the past, we've had kids come for just the first 2 blocks of the day. So they work in that room for the first couple of blocks a day, and then they can go to work after and gain some elective credit through a work study. So looking at expanding that program, especially the first priority there would be a science teacher. We don't have a science teacher right now that is able to meet that need for the students who need a science credit through the Phoenix program. And then right now we have a wonderful structured literacy program that brings the kiddos who are struggling to read at the high school level and teaching them some of the basics of reading and how to really connect with books. The best way to use that kind of instructional program is to combine it with a more an ELA class that will stress both the writing and reading comprehension to really bring it along and have that structured literacy be more of an intervention versus the primary classroom. So being able to combine that would be best for the overall development of kids who come into the high school needing more specific targeted reading intervention. And one of the consequences of the reduction of a math position last year was that we couldn't support the financial algebra and some of the classes within Phoenix that we had been able to support before. And I would love to have that flexibility back. So it's really all about building these options for kids through the Phoenix program to meet the various needs that come into Spalding. And last, but certainly not least, when we looked at the data for what kids going to early college, what classes they were taking, one area were areas that would traditionally be taught by a business teacher. So things like accounting, marketing, entrepreneurship. And there were like 40 some odd classes that kids had taken in the last 4 years through early college that fit under that big umbrella of business. It's not something our tech center here offers. So it's an area where we could really meet the needs of kids who might want to stay here as seniors rather than take courses through early college. And last, the ASL program has been hugely successful. The kids love it. There's been requests for, ASL 2A, just continuing with that program. Being able to expand that position to a full-time FTE would be something both beneficial to the kids who are here now, and as the new graduation requirements are developed, there's some indication that world language would be a part of those graduation requirements, and we would be ahead of the game to have that position as full-time. So thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Denise. So before Amanda does her presentation, I'm going to open this up for any questions that board members may have for the principals.
Emily?
When we talk about moving, first of all, thank you so much. It's so great to have you here in person, get this really detailed snapshot of our buildings and see the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for all of this. I don't want to forget to express gratitude towards you before we jump right in. When we're talking about moving positions from grants to general ed, I think that needs to be a bigger conversation. Like, I'd like to understand like what grants we're talking about. I'm assuming that they're federal grants, so we're kind of balancing that too. But that for me is something I think we should talk further.
Yep, absolutely. Lisa has some data that we're going to share with you in a little while about the federal grants.
Ian?
So this isn't necessarily
question. It's actually more of a comment. I'd like to start by thanking everyone who's presented so far. I appreciate all of you and everything that you're doing. It makes a huge difference to all of our students in our community. I just wanted to speak just in support of the Phoenix program that really struck a nerve for me personally as a student who did struggle in high school and was at risk of dropping out. And in the school system I was in at the time, there was the option of summer school and night school, just how I was able to graduate. So having these interventions is incredibly important to me, and it makes me feel a lot better knowing that we have that here. So thank you so much.
Anyone else? That was really great. I do want to ask about the cursive thing, just because I'm sorry. I think it's amazing. Is that a district-wide?
It is, Amanda?
Is it just?
We focus curriculum on both writing in terms of sentence structure and handwriting. So when we're talking writing, we're typically talking sentence structure and editing, and when we're talking handwriting, we're talking.
Yes.
It's awesome. I know it sounds silly, but
No, it
I
does
think it's a
sound silly.
really good thing
Yeah.
on multiple levels. Regarding the proficiency goal, do you know what we're currently at? Yes, Berrytown. Sorry, but it seems like that's a very good goal.
Yeah, so we are looking at this by grade level. So the answers are all different, and they're different by ELA and mathematics as well. So they range from anywhere from 14 up to like 52%. So in some areas, it wasn't much of a jump. In other areas, it's a massive jump. But we felt really comfortable just setting a high goal. And people are really excited to see, where do we get
Bless you.
and what's our next goal as a part of that. So it's not our end goal for sure, but we felt confident, especially with all of this new professional development that we've had, that we should go for it.
All right.
Michael, if I could just add, it also speaks to what we believe about all of our students.
Yeah.
They can make that goal. And that's important that they know that we believe that they are all brilliantly capable, and that's what we're trying to get to.
Alice?
Just to follow up on that, there's a tremendous amount of intervention takes place at the K-8 level. And it baits the question for me when we hear that there are students that are still entering high school that still lack the ability to read. It would seem that with the classroom intervention, the classroom instruction, we shouldn't have students going into the high school who can't read.
Do you want me to, I can respond to that, Alice? So structured literacy is pretty new to Derry. The research isn't new, but like anything, like trends come and go, right? And so are you familiar at all with the concepts of like balanced literacy classrooms?
Oh, yes.
Structure, okay, great. So in Barrie, I think a coordinated effort to make sure people have the training to be able to deliver this instruction at the tier 1 level in phonics, phonic awareness, and phonemic awareness, vocabulary building, all of the things has been a pretty recent thing. And so we are seeing over time a decline in how much kids need support. As we see our youngest students coming up, they need less at this point because they're getting it in the classroom and their teachers are prepared to be able to offer it and also know the signs of like, when does somebody need support? We shouldn't wait and say, oh, they'll just figure it out. We want to get them the support right away. But yes, we agree with you. It is overall our goal, and we joke with the middle school interventionists that we're not trying to put them out of a job, but our hope is that we want kids in middle school reading middle school literature. Yeah.
And Alice, we actually offer 2 sections of structured literacy currently, and the goal, if you ask those teachers, their goal is to work themselves out of a job. We offer that at the 7th and 8th grade level for students trying to also catch them so that it isn't a continuation for when they're entering as freshmen.
Because that impacts this, from my experience, your graduation rates and also your success, which is something that has also concerned me, is the ability for those students who choose to go into post-secondary education, their ability to be competitive at that level, whether it be a community college or a technical school or a four-year university, that we need to prepare our students to be competitive in any one of those environments.
I had a clarifying sort of question
Okay.
statement, not to piggyback on that, thank you. I just want to clarify, just in overall, when we're looking at these percentages of proficiency is grade level, right? We want them reading at grade level. It doesn't necessarily, and I'm not saying this to you, I just hear it a lot in the wild, and I want to focus on the reality that's not necessarily that 20% can't read, they're just not at that level. It might be one student who is functionally illiterate, but not at that point. So I want to keep pointing that out, that it's still a goal and it's not okay to be below that.
No,
But
research really suggests that 95% of kids should be reading at a given school at grade level with the right instruction from professionally trained staff. So I think that's our goal. Probably not by June, but
Statewide, that's not where we are. Just as a clarification, 95% is that, I think statewide is what?
Well,
It's lower.
It's lower.
Significantly lower.
Significant, yeah.
Garrett?
My question is for Denise. Do we have data about how many kids are working?
How many kids are working? I don't offhand, but I know that there's quite a few. And I know that, how much of it goes to support their families. I know there's more than a handful that are helping to support the rent. And, trying to find the right way to be flexible enough for them, as well as make sure they have the education they need. That's really what we're trying to do.
All right, Catherine?
I just had one, thank you for presentations, but I was looking at everybody's reports, and to have everyone come and explain it helped, but it would be nice if there was like a continued continuity between the reports, because I noticed that Berry City had some data in there that was interesting, Berrytown didn't, and that would be really nice if somehow you could get together and maybe have the same data so we can see between the schools what the different things match up.
All right.
So Amanda's
Moving on
next.
Jeff?
I just have a very short question about the Everybody Wins mentoring program. Did you say that was grant funded, or we're hoping to put that into a budget? It just.
No cost to us. So it was at Berry City for years, is my understanding, pre-pandemic. And it is, so it is an outside agency's running it, Everybody Wins, and they have a coordinator who's coming in. They have the monies to support that piece. And then they have grandparent volunteers who will come in and basically act as mentors and meet with students and work with students. They'll start in second grade and hopefully continue up through, because it hasn't been in place very City since before the pandemic. We've been working on trying to get it the 4 years that I've been at Berry City, and they finally have a coordinator who's just hired this week, or last week, the end of Friday of last week, and she's coming in tomorrow to see the building for the first time. Our goal is to have about 10 for this year to work with second grade, and then continue to grow it from there.
No other questions or comments? All right, we'll move on.
Amanda, please join us.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. So I'm just going to talk about a few things from the lens of curriculum, instruction, and assessment across the district. I'm gonna just jump right in. So the things I'm going to talk about today is just some of the work we're doing across the district to support the schools and all of the many great things that you just heard that are happening in each of them, related to both our curriculum and our instruction and our assessment, how we're monitoring this. You can see our district CIP goals, all of the school CIP goals follow or are based off of this. You'll notice the addition of a fourth goal for early literacy, and that's aligned with Act 139, which focuses on bringing structured literacy instruction to grades K through 3. So I'm going to talk about some of the current work that's taking place across the district and how we continue to hope, or how we hope to be able to continue to invest in it and build on it. And then I'm going to show some examples of what this looks like, because sometimes it's easier to see it than to just talk about it. So some big current work that we've done is we've gone through and we've aligned all of our K-8 proficiency scales in math and ELA to the Common Core standards, and evaluating them to make sure that we have appropriate levels of rigor for them at grade level, so that we truly know what is considered proficient, where our students should be in their math and ELA skills throughout the year and at the end of each grade level, so that we are building lifelong learners, and we are making sure there's strong coherence across our instruction and curriculum, both in our schools and throughout the course of the student's journey across grade levels. On the report cards that just went out, K-8, caregivers will see that the reporting standards have been aligned to these proficiency scales. That's really important to us, because transparency and mutual understanding of our students' goals are important, and we're all partners in this work. So the clearer it is to all of us, the easier it is for us to support our students' learning journey together. All of these scales and what this all means will be available on our new and improved curriculum website, which will be unveiled on Wednesday. I'm going to talk about it some at the Curriculum Community Forum that we're hosting Wednesday night, and then it will be available to the community and caregivers so that these things are accessible. We're going to continue to add to the website throughout the year, so this is just a start, and we're looking for feedback about the types of things that caregivers would like to see there. We're also continuing to build our common scope and sequence in both math and ELA K-8 right now, extending it to other content areas and grade levels as we go. And these are all important pieces of our guaranteed and viable curriculum within our district's strategic plan and the EQS standards. What we're hoping to be able to do is to maintain our local curriculum budget to continue to invest in this work, and that includes our professional learning for educators that you've heard a lot about, and making sure we're able to provide high quality instructional resources for our teachers to use and our students to access. We utilize significant portions of our federal title dollars. So when I talk about grants, I'm talking about the title grants, Title I, II, and IV. For these purposes, and with the continued uncertainties, we continue to advocate to consider ways that we can invest our local budget in making sure we're able to maintain the support and resources moving forward as well. Okay, let me show some examples. So this is small, but hopefully it's a little bit bigger on what you're looking at. But the first thing you'll see here, it says reporting measure decoding. And so this is an example of an elementary proficiency scale. And you'll notice it has 4 different levels. Proficient, level 3 is what we're going for. That's what a student should be expected to know, do, and understand at the end of instruction, at the end of that grade level. Each of these proficiency scales, each of these reporting measures will be on the report card, so caregivers can see exactly where their student is progressing and in what reporting standard or category that is. We're making sure to align all of our ELA curriculum work and what are the 5 big pillars of literacy. And I'll talk a little bit more about structured literacy and the science of reading in this. In math, we've been doing the same work with our proficiency scales, our updated reporting standards, and in math, we started mapping the progressions K5 and then 5 through 8. So we're able to see how these skills build upon each other grade level per grade level for that coherence. So we are really making sure that our students are getting strong learning experiences and meeting proficiency early in the early grades, kindergarten and first grade, before we can build on that throughout the other grade levels. Another part of our district curriculum work, aligned with the district strategic plan and the EQS standards, is building a robust EQSS system. which is our multi-tiered systems of support. There's a lot that goes into this, but two main pieces I'm going to hit is making sure that we maintain a robust local assessment plan. And so these are benchmark and screener assessments that we give 3 times a year across our grade levels to make sure our students are where they should be in their learning at multiple checkpoints across the year. So where they are in the fall coming in, where they then are in the winter and the spring, and making sure that all students are showing growth in achievement and knowledge in math and ELA. This year, we also started implementing an assessment called DIBBLES through the in-class platform. And this is just an additional ELA screener that provides us a bit more specific and targeted information so we are able to more quickly and more specifically intervene in some of our students who are struggling. This year, we implemented an SEL screener going along to support our Safe and Healthy Schools goal, so that we're able to have an idea and an understanding of how our students feel and their sense of belonging and relationships at school. From there, we utilize additional diagnostic assessments in math and ELA to learn even more about students that might be struggling so we can quickly and effectively intervene. This year, we've also adopted and rolled out the Panorama Student Success Platform. And what this does is it ties all of this really important information together so that our educators and our staff who are supporting students in their success at school are very easily able to access this information and use it. So instead of spending time finding the data, collecting the data, putting it together, it's all very accessible. So then the efforts and attention can be on the actions to respond to students' needs. This will help us build a strong and robust MTSS framework across multiple areas in academics, SEL, attendance, and behavior, which align to our CIP goals to ensure that no students slip through the cracks in any of those areas that they might be struggling with. We've heard a lot about the great professional learning that we have this year embedded throughout our schedule during staff development days and early release days. You can see it's broken down here by major subject area. We also have other role-specific cohorts that meet during this time across the district, working on their collective professional learning and collaboration. I want to thank the board for the investment that they gave in staff development at the end of last year to make this possible with our grant uncertainty. And all we're asking for continue moving forwards is a small investment so that we're able to just continue this work. Most of these are 1-year professional development plans. Our letters coursework is a 2-year. And so that amount that you see there that we're hoping to be able to build into our local budget just ensures that we're able to finish our letters coursework within year 2. We heard a lot about letters, but it's a really high quality evidence-based program grounded in the science of reading. So the science behind how students learn to read, so that across all of our grade levels, we are ensuring that no student gets to high school and cannot read. This aligns with Act 139, the high quality professional development that Act 139 asks school districts to provide. And like you heard, we have this taking place all across the district. So all of our K-4 teachers are completing this, our 5-8 ELA and social studies teachers are completing this, our K-8 ELA interventionists, and our K-12 special educators, as well as our administration team. Oh, and pre-K, thank you. And our pre-K teachers are completing an early literacy cohort of this as well. Thank you so much. As you heard, we also have PD happening in math, science, SEL. Our high school is working on content-based, subject-specific PD, and our allied arts teams are collaborating across the district. Just an overview of our district curriculum staff, myself, and a wonderful admin assistant. And then we have 3 instructional coaches across the district, the K-8 ELA, K-8 math, and high school instructional coach. Across the district, as you've heard, we have 9 K-8 literacy interventionists and 8.8 K-8 math interventionists and 2 multilingual learner teachers. Our instructional coaches currently are funded through the title grants. They are grant funded positions, as are 4 of our intervention positions. As you've heard tonight, these roles are key to many of the things that we are working on across the district in terms of curriculum instruction and our robust MTSS systems. So I continue to advocate, as it's been discussed, to move these roles into the local budget if at all possible, just with the grant uncertainty that we're facing, or potentially facing.
So questions for Amanda?
Ian?
This is a question on the maths interventionist. I see you have a decimal point on that. Is that a math joke?
That's a very good question. We have one interventionist that is considered a 0.8 position.
Okay.
So she works and supports our students 4 days a week.
Okay, that makes sense. I just wasn't sure if that was an attempted humor.
It's a great point.
Question.
Alice?
With all the work that's being, when I read this, this was like my wish list come true from years on the board. How is it going? Is the professional development taking hold? Is it being met with a positive response from the staff? Is it working?
Yes, we collect feedback after every professional development, so I'm currently looking at the feedback from our last one. Let me reference a few points though that I've been. So we asked staff overall, we had 51 responses in our feedback survey from the last staff development day, and we asked staff to rate the day. Overall, how would you rate the professional development collaborative work session that you attended? Out of 5 stars, the average rating was 4.1. So that's feeling pretty strong and positive. We review all the feedback for both positive takeaways and improvements that we could make. We were intentional about the design of the professional development to be embedded, so it wasn't just a one-time workshop or training and then you kind of go about your day, but to give time and space and length to the learning. For example, letters during the early release days, staff complete asynchronous work, so they're reading, they're watching videos, they're completing pretty rigorous online learning. And then during 2 of the staff development days, we're able to bring in letters facilitators, which is that bridge to practice. So where staff get practice using their learning and learning how to apply it in their classrooms and their instructional strategies. So we're really looking forward to continue to watch the feedback and learn from the feedback. And we're hopeful with our intentions of how we designed this, that it will be meaningful and long-lasting for staff.
Do you see it taking hold in the instructional practices in the classrooms?
From my direct observations, I can defer to the principals as to what they've seen directly in the instructional practices. I've been pushing into quite a few grade level meetings where we've been discussing student learning, and the levels of conversation, what we're talking about now is at a much different level than what I feel it was last year. I can't compare prior to that, but now we're digging into, we're talking about practice, we're talking about decoding and phonological awareness, and how our students are doing, kind of a finger on the pulse of the data, and then what we're going to do to respond to it. So I've seen a significant improvement in the depth of our conversations and the work that we're doing. But I'm happy to have any of the administrators talk about any observations.
I would just add on that this is also where the power of our instructional coaches come in. We leave those things with a lot of ideas and a lot of questions, which is great. And then when we come to our collaborative team meetings, Andrew Mills and Chrissy Bell are just so fantastic. They know so much about math and literacy, and they can really help us through the filter of the professional development think about, what does this look like in my classroom today or tomorrow? So that's where I think their support has been crucial, and the PD has been great, and people are excited to use it.
And I would just add that the collaboration amongst the teachers and their professional conversation alongside, I was just in one for math. I have to give props again to Chrissy Bell for them to talk about common assessments and really looking at what kids met a proficiency, and then how are we going to catch those kids that didn't, and how are we reteaching, and how are we doing that at the tier 1 level. I think that speaks to what Amanda is talking about, like that conversation, because then they're going back the next day and they're putting those practices in place in the classroom. And that's really exciting to see.
I was in a classroom observation today, actually, so I'm glad you asked that question. I was in an amazing observation in a social studies classroom, middle school social studies. And he was talking a lot about breaking words down, and all the stuff brought back afterwards. I was telling him, thanking him for allowing me to come in and telling him the parts of his lesson that I enjoyed. And he said those were all things that he had learned in his letters training. And this was not someone who I thought would be super excited to be in letters. So it was like fulfilling to me, and I was grateful for that, and so was he. So definitely seeing it in practice in middle school, which is exciting.
Jackie?
I had a question, but also to comment, I've noticed an immediate adoption of this from my kids, and they're now in 2nd and 3rd grade. We actually have the same teacher 2 years in a row, not on purpose. It was just how the lottery ended out, and she's the same and awesome, but I can see her using this language and segmenting it and using her knowledge in this way and finding success. And then my son's teacher, immediately I learned about the science of learning from like orientation before it was presented here. So, I mean, and it's working. They're not struggling. They like school, which is a big step. So I've seen it personally as a parent. I've noticed the tone shift and the consistency just in the stuff that comes home. I was going to ask too, kind of with what Catherine was saying with data. So you have the goals here. It's really early in the year, but is there any data on kind of where we are in these goals? I think this is a really great breakdown, and then maybe the individual schools and leaders can kind of dig into it. But I think it would be good to kind of track that and really to track the spend. We had a great success rate in Berry City with like the 74% success rates in ELA and math. And I think that's a great snapshot on our investment, right? Because this is about a budget. And that's, we're spending this amount and here's what we're getting in our successes. So I would love this. Thank you.
Jeff?
Did you say there was 51 responses to the survey of the professional development days?
From this past day.
Is that one building or?
That's across the district.
Okay. So I've worked as a public school teacher in Vermont for 7 years now, and I've been to many of professional development days as well. Yeah, that's quite the low number, and I appreciate the fact that you are like looking at all of the survey data. I mean, you knew there were exactly 51. You said you're also having like room for maybe comments or something, like feedback for like, hey, what would be better for you guys? Yeah, it's a challenging topic in our district as well, where I work. There's some schools and some teams show up really, really well, and it's challenging when it doesn't work out for a number of reasons. And yeah, that feedback piece, I really see like a lot of very intentional planning you all are making to like improve student outcomes, and teachers care deeply about that too. So keep asking questions and keep using great data-based programs and high quality training for our teachers. Seems like you're doing a lot of things well. Keep it up, and keep looking for that feedback piece. Thank you for doing all the work.
I just wanted to, go ahead, Ian.
Yeah, I actually wanted to mirror what Jackie was talking about. My youngest is in first year pre-K, my oldest is in 1st grade, and I've been experiencing the same thing. That my 1st grader is an extremely avid reader. I cannot get her to stop reading everything. Sometimes there are some things I would rather they not read. But they break it down, they talk about trick words. It's been really quite incredible just seeing just this explosion of growth, and even with the preschool. Just granted, she's not reading yet, but she's picking things up, and it's just been just mind blowing. But I guess the question that I have is, how do you feel that this is influencing engagement of the teachers, and ultimately, how do you feel this is going to influence retaining? Because again, as mentioned earlier, there is a window of keeping teachers past the 7-year mark. Do you feel this is going to help that?
I hope so. I think it's very important to invest in our teachers because they bring so much to the table and they're doing so much for our students every day. And so I think it's important to be able to invest in their professional learning as well, to provide them opportunities and embedded throughout the course of their school year. Is important. And so,
Thank you.
Along the question that Alice asked, like, how is it going? I want to add 2 more really important points. And it was brought up by Erica before. The administrators are getting professional development alongside with teachers. So as we use the Danielson framework for teaching, observation, going into classes, that's how they can monitor. They know what to look for. And they're able to give feedback to the teachers. And we're doing the same thing in mathematics. We're working with the math consultant that's coming in and working with the administrators to say, you go in and you're doing an observation in these 2 areas. These are the big look fors. And so it's really helped to monitor what's going on. And really, the teachers love it when administrators know what you're talking about in terms of instruction.
All right. No other questions? Paul?
I was wondering if we were going to be able to ask questions pertaining to the several presentations. Is that okay?
Sure. Public comment.
We're going to take them in the order in which the presentations were done, and just be very quick to the questions. And maybe they can respond directly without throwing all the questions out for all 3 schools. First question I have deals with Berry City. Can you explain to me what a brain-based math instruction is?
Dr. Kateri Thunder is a mathematician who the district has sought out and researched to come work with our staff. She's mostly worked with the math interventionists at this point and the middle school level math teachers in some development remotely. She's had a few hiccups in getting here, unfortunately. So I have not met her personally, but Amanda could speak to her because Amanda.
My question was the term brain
Mhm.
in relation to math. Obviously, must be
Obviously, math is brain-based, right? Right. So, right. I think that is her tagline. I think that's like the way she gets people interested in thinking about what math. Yeah, yeah, what mathematics is.
Not to take too much time. Cursive writing, and bring that back in the age of technology and computers and everything on that. Has that been around for a short while, or is it?
I mean, cursive has been around. It waned a little bit, I think, with more of the technology uses, but we're really intentionally hitting 2 grade levels really hard. And in the middle schools, also focusing on that group of students who, I don't want to say the COVID years, but that missed some of that writing components through COVID. And so they're also doing cursive writing.
The next question I have is it appears in both Berry City and Berry Town, experience the 4 important parts of effective advisory program. Could you just give me a little background of what that is?
Yeah, that's developmental design. So that is the structure of creating that community first thing in the morning. It's making sure that every student is greeted. It's making sure that every student is receiving important messaging from the school, making sure that the students have some time to be together as kids. We're going to say it, maybe a non-school word. They play a game to create that community
So there's
piece.
an outline.
There is, yeah, there's a full outline to it. Yeah.
All right, thank you. If you don't mind, if you have additional questions, if you
Just
want-
one
Contact
more
me.
question on
Okay.
Berry City one. I was just going to quickly bring up some of these others. And you bring up everything that's pertinent to a budget, and you're trying to understand the programs and positions that go into that. So the format, I think, is beneficial to the community as a whole. So if I just can be indulged just a couple more minutes, I think we can get
It's
through.
also
Well, I
let
think-
everyone have the same amount.
correct, and that's
There's not a lot
the,
of people from the community here tonight. So
and I understand that, Paul, but there are people online as well. And if you don't mind, if you could provide the questions to the superintendent later, and she'll be able to answer them.
I do mind actually, because it's not really beneficial. These are questions I think people community have been asking me, and I think it's only fair
So,
that it gets published unless the superintendent's going to publish the answers.
and she will. She can put it in the packet for the next board meeting. Thank you. All right. I think I saw someone online.
I think it was Rachel raised her hand.
Rachel,
Hi, can you hear me okay?
sure can.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to share appreciation for the way we're starting this conversation. I think when we talk about the budget, a lot of times we talk about numbers. And so I'm really glad that this discussion has started with thinking about our students as kids and as not just numbers. And I appreciate it. I think it was maybe Jackie said something about like, what are we getting for this investment? And so it's just great to have it focused on the students and the student outcomes. So I just want to thank the board and Joanne. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Moving on to the FY27 level program budget.
Lisa?
My information isn't quite as interesting and wonderful as theirs, but we do have to talk about the numbers. So this FY27 budget is aligned with the strategic plan and the goals. And as Joanne mentioned earlier, it is a level program budget.
Oh, excuse me, Lisa, why don't you join us
Okay.
a little bit closer?
Somebody else can. Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. That's right, she's plugged in, I forgot.
Yeah.
Well, can folks hear on the owl?
Well, they'll hear now.
Yep.
So from online.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Rachel.
So at this point, we're presenting tonight a budget of $57,842,257. And that represents an increase of 1.8 million or 3.38% over the current year. Some of the increases, the preliminary increases and the cost drivers are employee benefits, contractual obligations, inflationary pressures, and transportation technology and insurance. And then when you break down the budget, I broke it into 3 categories. So you have your direct instruction, and that is your core classroom, instructional supports, and all of those items that go with it, like supplies, materials, contracted instructional services, tuition to specialized placements and athletics. And the direct instruction reflects 63% of the overall budget presented tonight. The next category is support services. That represents 28% of the budget. And those are the other essential things to maintain student well-being and daily operation of the school. So your school counseling, behavioral support services, library and health services, building level and district administration, and student transportation. And then you have your building and maintenance at 9%. And that's your custodial maintenance staff, utilities, and repairs. Employee benefits is one of those cost drivers, and we know that our salaries and our benefits in this particular budget are 73% of the overall cost. Health insurance this year is projected to increase
7.4%. We have, I've listed in the highlights the plans just to get a sense of what the premium, the employer share of the premium is. Single parent child, 2-person family. And that does not include the HRA and HSAs that are also included in the benefit, which range from $1,900 to $4,000, depending on the plan. There are some state mandated unfunded mandates that are also included in this budget. And the relatively new one that was new effective last July 1st was the child care contribution. That's about $150,000 across the budget. And that's a payroll tax. Then there's the Vister's health assessment, which is continually increasing every year. And that is for teachers who are new to the retirement system as of July 1, 2015. So clearly that's increasing every year substantially. And that overall is about $300,000. For the school narratives, we lumped the elementary and middle schools together, Berry City and Berry Town. Proposed reductions were overall preschool tuition. So that's just based on actuals. We haven't had as many Act 166 students attending other private placements. And then one thing that Joanne wanted to share, and I don't know if you want to talk about.
Sure.
Okay.
So the board had asked us to go back and provide a level program budget, which is the 3.38%. What is not included is the listing here. It would be summer school. It would be the grant funded positions that you can see. It comes from either Medicaid or the title grants. And if we were to include that group, the overall budget would increase to a little over $1 million, and that would be a 5.26% increase in the overall budget. What we did not cost out tonight, because this is all brand new, talking with the principals about their wish list, none of those wish list items have been costed out at this point, but the administration would be happy to do that should you be interested in knowing what that number is. There's some incidental cost increases, as you can see. I'm not going to go through every school or department, but it gives a little bit more data concerning what is going to look different. I would focus your attention on the last page where it says grant funds. So next year, we estimate the FY27 total state and grant allocations to be $3 million. Lisa, how does that compare to this year?
This year, we estimated at 3.5.
Okay, 3.5.
So anticipating that we may have less federal funding.
And a lot of the grants are still up in the air. We've been told preliminary information that we'll get a little bit more in special education, but we'll get less in the consolidated federal grant supporting our English language learners and also our students in poverty. We don't have any real numbers. We're just getting some initial information. And then why don't you go through some of the variables that we don't have right now?
So some next steps and unknowns are our underway budget FY25 audit, and then our FY26 actuals. The tax commissioners announced yield, we did that on December 1st, and then our long-term weighted ADM we should have within the next couple weeks. So we'll keep you posted on all of that. The common level of appraisal usually comes out mid-December. You know, we have 3 negotiated contracts that we are working on now. Our enrollment and staffing adjustments, revenues in our next budget presentation. I will give you some proposed revenues or estimated. And then our state federal grant allocations.
Questions?
Any questions from the board? Garrett?
Not so much a question, but I would like to see, the, as we call it, the wish list items costed out. I'm encouraged by the initial, increase in our level program budget. I think that's a much better position than we were in with items such as health insurance and inflationary costs last year. So I would think there's a little bit of room to look at how we can grow instead of just maintain.
Thank you.
Alice?
Is there a proposed surplus for this year?
There is not. You mean in FY '25?
Right, as we approach this new budget, will there be a surplus from this year's budget?
In FY '26? It's really too early at this point to do a projection, but in FY '25, we didn't have the surplus.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? All right, public comment? Paul?
I have a couple questions related to some of the interesting things going on across the state. Last year, the legislature used $125 million one-time spending money. Now, I was reading an article that came out in the Times August last Friday. They talked about the impact that alone had on Montpelier. It was about $1 million. How does that affect our budget?
Mm-hmm.
Has that been incorporated in those numbers yet? Because this has to be made up money.
It would be under the yield.
So it has not.
It has not been
No,
incorporated.
those will be reflected in, when we get the yield,
There you
so
go.
all of that information will come to us in that yield letter that will have that anticipated.
Well, the reason why I bring it up is because the superintendent of Montpelier is really, really concerned about a number of factors that are coming in, and that was just one of about 5. And right now, and they're trying to be, optimistic about what they're going to have happen, and they're still looking at a potential of a 20-cent tax rate increase in the Montpelier-Roxbury district. Now, we're a much bigger district and we have more exposure, and somehow when you're looking at a budget, you're trying to anticipate what's coming. And I'm wondering if that's in the thinking yet. They have the same problems. They're in negotiation years as well as we are. And they have the same problems dealing with health insurance. Although they said 7.3, you said 7.4. It's in the same ballpark because we're all negotiating at the state level. But what is also mentioned in that is talking about the other add-ins, the loss of students. Now, they said they lost 15 students, and that equates to a loss in revenue of $150,000. Do we have it, based on the numbers that our superintendent handed out at the last meeting with the projections and so forth, if they're talking about 15 students, and if we even come close to, say, 60, we've had higher amounts, then that's going to have an impact on our budget. Has that been taken into the budget yet?
Enrollment is always going to have an impact on, the overall per pupil spending, which then equates to your tax rate. So, when we get the long-term weighted ADM, then we'll be able to model.
What was interesting is that one of their board members actually sits with the tax department and deals with the letter that they received.
Yeah.
And what he had to say was dire doom and gloom. So
all right. So Rachel?
Thanks. I had some similar questions / concerns knowing that we don't know what's happening at the state level. So my question was, at the next meeting where the budget's discussed, I assume that's after that. Yeah, we're not meeting next week. You're not meeting next week.
The next meeting, Rachel, is December 1st, but we really will not have the total picture until right before the Christmas vacation, which is the special meeting, budget meeting of the board. What is the date? 17th? 15th? Yeah, the third Monday of December.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. That's really what I was looking for, when we would have as much information as we can, still knowing there are some unknowns. Thank you.
Any other, Nancy?
Yes, I wanted to touch on the revenue. The last presentation you gave us on student enrollment is declining, and you gave the dismal picture that it's going to be declining so much each year, which prompted me to think about the revenue, which Mr. Malone touched on. Do we know what the loss of revenue was for last year? Because we lost about 143 students. So do you know what that is?
In terms of the revenue, different pieces of the revenue, or what in particular?
Well, when you lose students, you lose revenue. So I didn't know if you had tracked or found out what the loss of revenue was on those students. And then have you projected out based on the information that superintendent is providing for the student decline? I mean, if we're going to start losing students, we should know what the revenue loss is going to be.
So the student count will come to us in the long-term weighted ADM, and that's when we can take the expenses, overall expenses, less your revenue, and that will bring you your education spending. And then once we divide our long-term weighted ADM into that, we'll have our per pupil spending.
So, but for last year, for fiscal year 25, which is completed, do you know you lost 143 students from the prior year? Do you know what that actual loss of revenue was?
No one told us.
No.
No. Okay, and then my last question is on the grant funded position. You mentioned $3 million. And is that, and you mentioned an increase of, is that an increase, the $3 million to 5.26 from the 3.38, or is that an additional 5.26% increase on top of the 3?
So the 3 million was the projected revenue that we expect from state and federal grants. The a little bit more than 5% increase would be what it would look like if we took all of those grant funded positions and included them in the budget.
Okay, so there's two different things. We're talking about expenses and
Yeah.
we're talking about revenue.
Right.
Right, and then I'm talking about the grant funded positions that you're trying to move into the general fund, which
All
was
right.
like COVID money that came in.
No,
That
We-
was to serve a certain purpose.
So
now you move
I
it
think,
into the general
Nancy,
fund.
we'll have to have the superintendent
I'm
reach
almost
out.
done, I just got one last
Oh,
thing.
well, the 2 minutes are up, and if the board wants to override me, that's fine. There would be a motion that would be needed to override my decision for the time limit. Is there a motion? Okay. So moving on, thank you. And Joanne, you can reach out to Joanne for your questions.
Well, I don't just have that question.
Josh?
Yes, I had a question about the plowing contract. I've been getting some different information here and there, and I'm just trying to clarify some things. So my understanding is the plowing contract, the bids went out for a 2-year bid, and you got a bid back for 150 spanned over 2 years, which would have been $150,000, and then the bid was awarded for 150 for 1 year, making $300,000. So I was wondering if there's anything to that.
Can you
Please.
rephrase
Yeah,
that?
I'm not quite sure what the question is. Did you hear that?
So I can clarify the snow removal contract
Mhm.
is $155,000 annually and we have a 2-year contract. And there is no increase to the second year. So the second year is also $155,000.
It was my understanding that the 155 was for the 2 years. That's what I keep hearing from everybody. And then a contract was written up for 1 year.
No, it was for 2 years.
All right.
So the contract was 150 a year for 2 years?
Each year.
Each
year.
year.
Okay, because that's not what I understood either when we went over it. I was thinking it was 155 for the contract for 2 years. 155 total.
It was my understanding that's what the bidder thought too, just so you guys know.
Oh, the bidder thought that?
What?
You just said that the bidder thought that.
I didn't hear that.
Can you guys
Yeah,
get
we'll
that
research it.
clarification, please? Thank you. All right,
Yeah.
any other public comment? Seeing none. Board, one last chance.
I just have a question that all the way through this, we heard about aligning things with the strategic plan. What do we need to be doing to make sure that the strategic plan as it is has some holes in it?
Yeah.
And what do we need to do? What do we need to plan for to make sure that our strategic plan can continue to support what our administrators and our instructors are doing?
Well, what we actually, I did an audit myself of the strategic plan when I first started and noted that many of those areas were not fully addressed. And so one is the multi-tiered system of support, specifically as it relates to SEL. Another one is proficiencies. Another one is, you're going to put me on the spot here. I can't remember the other. There were many. Communication is a big one. And so we naturally took those, and that's why we used them to frame what it is that we're trying to accomplish in the budget. But in order, I think one of your other questions, Alice, is what do we do in the next step? I think it would be a really great community exercise if we developed a portrait of a graduate, because that statement, like a mission statement, is like the beacon. That is the bright light from which we could develop a more broadly based strategic plan. But starting with what do we want that graduate to look like when they walk across that stage after 12 years in the Barre Unified Union School District? I think that would be really inspiring, and I think it would help to bring the community together. It could be a good spring activity for us to plan once we get our budget passed and thinking about next year.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, no further comments. I do want to remind folks, please, if you have questions, email Joanne. She will make sure that they are publicly available, the questions and the answers.
We
I'm
do
pretty
have,
sure you have a.
We do. We have two documents, Michael. We have a community FAQ on the website. So any budgetary questions you have, please log on there and we'll do our very best to answer those quickly. And then there's a budget FAQ for the board. So if there's another piece of information other than what we heard tonight that you would like to see reported on in the next round of discussions, please fill that out and let us know.
All right, Garrett.
Can I ask that maybe at our next meeting, we could just do a demo of where that is on the website? Just
oh, sure.
to
Yeah.
educate the public to know that these questions aren't just going into oblivion. That,
Yes.
Yeah.
Be happy to.
Thank you. I wonder if we could have a pop-up.
A pop-up?
A pop-up when
What's
when you log on to when you go to the webpage, it gives a little pop-up.
Oh.
I think we usually do
Yeah.
this time of the year have a budget pop up and it takes you directly to the budget page.
Yep. I think that would be really helpful and for
Sure.
folks. Catherine?
I would like to ask if there is time, if public comment could be expanded to one more segment, if there was anyone who still wanted to make a comment for 2 minutes.
I mean, we are doing pretty good for time. How do you feel?
It's up to you. It's the board's pleasure.
Michael,
does
I'd
the
like
board-
to support that statement. Just like, it seemed like clarifying questions about like lingo could like make a lot of sense to the field, because even as a teacher, some of the acronyms in lingo get really cluttered. So I think those types of questions are super reasonable, and maybe we could consider an extra 2 minutes for those types of clarifying questions just to understand a little bit more.
Okay. Emily?
I would support public comment, but I'm not willing to get into a back and forth that becomes unpleasant. So
Okay.
if someone wants to make a statement about the budget or present some questions, I'm fine with that without the expectation that we're going into.
Sure. So I will open it up for public comment, which is for folks to make a statement regarding the budget. And if you do ask questions, the superintendent will answer them individually, not currently. Shannon?
Really good comment that we could have a paper easel here if you want a parking lot for people to add questions if they don't feel comfortable emailing.
That is a really good idea. If we could have that, that would be amazing.
You could do that.
No other comments? All right, moving on to our meeting dates. Mood at us.
Mood at us.
Mood at us.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, principals and administrators. Thank you.
Disconnect. Huh. Bad camera. I love it. All right, so our next meeting is December 1st, 2025 at 6 p.m. here at Spalding High School. The next one after that is December 15th, 2025, and that will be a special budget meeting, 6 p.m. here at Spalding High School. With that, Emily.
Can I just ask some scheduling questions? We had put as a board goal to have 2 listening sessions. Are we hoping to have those as part of our budget development process?
Well, we certainly can do one in December. That would be good timing. Once we get into January, you're pretty quick, but there could be another listening session. And I was thinking, you would develop the topics. Topics may not be great to do redistricting right now, but it could be budget. It could be portrait of a graduate. It could be the future of Barry Unified Union School District. It could be, what are your thoughts about our K-4 versus 5 through 8 schools? It's a listening and learn. Just you ask the questions and then you actually listen to hear what the community's input is. I still think that would be helpful. As much as we have tried as administrators to do these public meetings, we don't get people at the public meetings. I recommend if we do it, we should do a virtual meeting because you're going to look at how many people attended the board meeting tonight, right? There were 30 at some point and it maybe 20 tonight, but you get more participation when you try to do it in different ways. If someone would like to meet with me and come up with some ideas about that, I'm more than happy to do that.
I don't know that redistricting should be off the table. We sure had a lot of questions about Montpelier tonight.
Yeah.
So I think that should be one of them. I think even if it's anecdotal.
Yeah.
The only issue with the redistricting is that we have no power over that.
Yeah, I mean, it might just be good to hear.
Just to hear what people are thinking.
That would not be priority.
And
So Emily did have her hand up first.
What is that?
So is there consensus with the board that we would like to do a listening session in December?
I'd like to say yes.
Okay.
Do we need a motion or are we?
I think we can
I think
work that out.
I can work that out. And if anyone, would like to help me plan it, both the date and the topics and things like that, good. I have Jeff, Ian.
Yeah.
And Emily,
I
great.
sure would like to see some way to submit questions before, because I don't want you to be in a situation where you're grasping for answers on questions that are coming in the door. I don't think that's productive. So if while you guys are setting that up, there's some way that people can submit questions in advance, that would be really awesome. It doesn't have to all be that way, but there should be an option to do that. Because our staff can't just answer the questions immediately because they don't have all the information with them.
Well, wait a minute. This is a board listening and learning tour, not a superintendent.
But huh?
I think that's helpful, Mike.
Yeah, I think questions ahead of time is really good.
You can be prepared.
Yeah, and this way, we're not, spending an awful amount of time trying to grasp at straws. I don't think that's helpful.
Do you think that doing these at the individual schools would be beneficial so we can meet the members of the community in their own area?
So I mean, I'll just tell you my personal opinion. This is pretty like a centralized location between Berry City and
Yeah.
Berrytown.
But
I think
And it-
like weekends are probably easier, but I just can't make.
I
Yeah.
think we can have that discussion. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
And before we go.
Yes.
Something that I also believe that we cannot take off the table is our relationship as the BUUSD with the Career Center. That we really have to keep that at top of mind. And what's happening there, the feedback that the Career Center Board has received from the public after the bond vote, and questions regarding actually the use of this building. And I think we have to be able to address that as well.
Alice, next Friday, the Friday after vacation, Denise and Jody and I are meeting around some of those very same topics.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Garrett, seconded by Ian. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Can I
We are
leave?
adjourned. Yes.
Thank you.
Wait, do you have to turn off everything?
Yeah, just leave the call.
No.
$9.
They are broke out.
Assortment of
Yeah.
candy.